Hello and good morning, gentlemen, for the second day of the Defense Pro Level 1 training. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Good morning, Kai.
Yes,
Okay,
hello.
wonderful. Morning, wonderful. Good, so then let's start. So for today, we want now to start with the different protections. We want to talk about here or explain the BDOS protection, the DNS protection, SYN flood, out of state, and basic traffic filters. And after the lunch break, then also here, then all possibilities also with hands-on. But before we start, do you have any questions about the topics yesterday? So we had here the hardware connectivity and protection policies, maintenance, and analytics.
I
I have a
have
question about the lab.
Okay.
Start, Adil.
Thank you. I have a question about an enrollment on Radvar course. I have an enrollment for 27th of September on the screen. On my personal cabinet. On my personal cabinet.
An enrollment. I didn't understand this. Can you repeat,
like,
please?
In my personal cabinet, they are shown that I yesterday didn't come.
You come?
Yes.
No.
I asked you several questions, if you remember.
You didn't come.
Not I came yesterday, but on the personal cabinet of our courses, it's cpcontents.adobe.com. There are written that I didn't came.
Normally, we confirm this at the end of the training. So therefore, at current, all delegates here, I can show you, but maybe I can also change this if you are more happy with that. One moment. Just
thank you.
Let me go to the training. One moment. Oh. So that's here that's here the list of the learners, and normally here, so Adil, for example, here, I can here mark you, for example, yeah, mark attended and pass. So mark attend and pass. But normally we do this at the end of the training. So, but if I now mark it, for example, or maybe let's maybe go out here.
Okay, thank you.
So then let's say then you can double check if you see now some changes. But of course, honestly, I do not really like to do this beforehand, because so if you say, okay, no, I attended and passed, so I need not to come then tomorrow or so, and I can log out now immediately because I'm finished.
Okay.
Therefore, normally I do this at the end, and for all those delegates and for those who do not attend, for example, and then here it's also here mark not attend, for example. So that depends here a little bit. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I have also a question about the lab.
Yeah.
What was the task yesterday? Until when? What is the lab that we need to do yesterday?
So yes, I honestly I didn't commit this correctly, but if you look about the labs here. So you see, these are the labs. So we have here the initial setup, we have the administration, analytics, and then BDOS. So here you see also here maintenance analytics. So therefore, for yesterday, it was here 1 and 2, maybe 3. So 3, again, I explained, you can look to the analytics, but you will see always peacetime, because at current we have no attacks. So therefore, for today, then we will continue with the BDOS, the DNS, the SYN protection, the out of state, and the traffic filters. And then you have also here in the analytics, of course, some data to see. And the intention was that we already discussed it, that you know how analytics is working. And if you then do the BDOS lab, then you know how to use it. That's the idea behind.
Thank you.
So, and then here today, then for all you, yeah, then you can go here to the traffic filter. So you see, we try to have more or less the same name what we have in the topics, also in the lab manuals. Okay, good. Okay, then yeah, any additional questions? Good. If not, then let's start with the BDOS. So with the BDOS there, we will spend a little bit more time, because BDOS, I think, is one of the most important topics in the system. So it's very often used, it's very universal. So therefore, we will talk here about this topic. And as you see, the BDOS has here different kind of protections. It's mainly, of course, TCP based, because TCP has the most possible options. But of course, you can also do it with other protocols like UDP, ICMP, IGMP, and so on. So we have here also for the others here several options. But of course, compare IGMP, ICMP maybe with TCP. So it's very simple and of course not that often used. So therefore we expect also to have, of course, more traffic here. So therefore also the focus is more on TCP. Okay, so how is behavioral DOS in general working? And this behavioral DOS is also some kind of method we are constantly looking here for detection. So if we found something, if I flip back here, for example, here in the TCP, we will see in the next module, we talk then about DNS. So also for DNS, we look here for different parameters, but in this case also, it's very similar then that we are also looking here, then after we have detected something, we try to characterize it. So we try to find, do we have here a couple of similar requests, which looks like then an attack? Because you have to imagine, if a couple of people, maybe one person or a couple of them, want to flood here, then they have to use a massive amount of packets. And these packets you can't normally not create manually. So you need to use some tools. Tools are mostly scripted. So, and work a very same way. So this means you have very similar, maybe exact the same packet many times. So this is the idea behind. So therefore, we try to characterize it. If you have detected the pattern or patterns, depending, because you can have a script which creates on maybe always the same one, or you have maybe within the script, maybe 10, 20, 50 different variations. But think about, even if you have 50 variations, and if you have 1,000 packets per second, so then you have 20 same packets per second, which is very, very unusual. So, and even this is a small number. So it can be, of course, much higher numbers. So then we try to find here the parameters, and we create a filter, the so-called real-time signature, and then apply it and do the mitigation. So means mostly block it. Then we verify, do we have here some effect? And then if we say yes, there is an effect, there is here the traffic is significantly dropped down. So then we wait and try to keep it on until the attack is over, until the termination. So termination means maybe the attacker give up and say, okay, this massive amount of flooding has no effect. The application is still up and running, or whatever what should be the outcome. Or the attacker changes his mind and say, okay, if this pattern is not working, maybe let's try another one or change it again. And of course, if the attacker changes the attacking script, then our characterization here is not longer matching. So this means for this kind of attack, it's also similar like a termination. But of course, since the attacker changes only the script, so then we have, of course, a new attack. And you cannot have only one attack at one time. You can have also a couple of attacks at the same time. As a simple example, maybe the same attacker launches a TCP and a UDP attack at the same time, or two attacking groups launches independent of each other different attacks or whatever. So therefore you can have here not only one, you can have here a couple of attacks in parallel. Do you have here any question?
No.
Good. So then we go to the next one. And the next one here is how the system is doing. So, and very important is here the learning, because the feature is called behavioral DOS. So this means we need to know what's going on. And each network, even each application, is a little bit different, has different parameters, what is normally used. So I want to avoid the word behavior. So, and therefore we need here to learn. And the learning for this behavioral features is extremely important. Without learning, the system is working not that accurate. And you have to expect, of course, a little bit depending of the features, but a learning of minimum 1 week, better 2 weeks is recommended. This means if you have maybe not published the service, if you're still in alpha or beta tests, then try to bring the Defense Pro already in line. This has the advantage that the system gets this kind of traffic, what is normal, and since the testings, the test people should use the application as it's intended, so we see only good requests, so we learn also good. This means, for example, you see here, typically here you have SYN. For each SYN, we have a SYN acknowledge, and for each SYN acknowledge, we have an ACK. Plus, of course, you have here a huge amount of ACK because you have also for each data packet an ACK. So this means here SYN, ACK, and data together gives also the ACK amount. And then the same what we have in SynEgg, so you should also fin and FinEgg, plus minus a little bit reset maybe if something went back bad or so, but that should be not the majority. So this is here such a typical behavior here like TCP is doing. So if you compare it now with this one, so you see we got here a little bit SynEgg, but a huge amount of reset. More reset than syns. This does make absolute no sense. And if we now detect such kind of traffic and if we compare it to here, then we see here is something wrong. So, but this, of course, we can do only after the learning, because if you have no learning, then the system can assume maybe a huge amount of reset could be also okay, because normally the system should have also some base knowledge. But here you see the learning is important. And in this case, so if you see this different behavior, we put here the degree of attack to 8, 9, or 10. So this means here to a higher rate. And in this case, maybe we put it here to 10. And the system is now here, has detected a possible attack, and we need now to do the analysis. But before we go to the analysis here, we still want to talk about here this detection. And for the detection, the system learns or creates here some graph, which is depending of the customer, what's happening. And we do here some base calculation. For example, for SYN detection, we have the SYN packages divided to the total TCP. The same for reset, FinAgg, SynAgg, and fragmented AGG. For UDP, we're doing different calculations. UDP divided to total, and UDP in divided by ICMP out. You know, UDP has here less possibilities. So negative messages are here signaled by ICMP instead of UDP messages. And for ICMP, we have also ICMP to the total and IGMP to the total traffic. So that's the basic calculation. Honestly, we have, of course, here some many others which are not published, since the BDOS features in general is around 20 years old. So compare a little bit the Defense Pro here with the Microsoft Windows products. Microsoft Windows 20 years ago looks also different, very different, and has also less features than today. The same is also in the Defense Pro. So devices 20 years ago has a single-threaded processor, less memory, and so on. So, and therefore the system is developed, and we have, of course, learned much more options here to do, but this is the knowledge of hardware, and therefore, unfortunately, they do not publish. So, but if we now look here about here, this behavior, so we have here a higher rate of traffic. So, and we have also here an abnormal ratios flag. So here many of these reset messages, for example. So then you see the degree of attack is maybe here 10. So of course, if we have also an abnormal packet rate, so high traffic, but everything is more or less normal, so it's only a little bit wrong packages. So then we have here a normal ratio. We have only a lot of traffic, and this has maybe the effect that there is maybe some sports events, maybe Olympics, soccer games, or some natural catastrophe like an earthquake, some war, or whatever it is. So anything people are interested, creating here a lot of traffic. And of course, if you have a lot of traffic, maybe you have also here maybe some traffic which will not work fine. For example, think about you have a mobile moving from one cell to another cell. There's always sometimes maybe a little bit packet loss or so. So therefore, this is absolute normal, but in this case here, the degree of attack is 5. So, and in case of 2, 3, 4, and 5, so we are here in the normal rate. Then between 5 and 8, we are here in the suspicious, and after 8, we are here in the attack area. Good. Then with this here, we try to characterize. Then this takes around 10 seconds. And we then try to optimize it. This will take here also around another 8 seconds, but you see this is here very different. So it can happen that maybe this final filter here is found within 3 seconds. Maybe we need another 10 or 15 seconds, or maybe more. So this depends a little bit. So in the average, it's 8 seconds. And at the end, we have here a real-time signature, which exactly fitting to this attack, which exactly negotiate this kind of attack. So therefore, it's a very accurate protection. So we have also then here for this analyzation here a huge amount of data, and depending, of course, we are looking here about the data. So maybe here source IP addresses could be interesting, maybe destination IP address, TCP flags, packet size, maybe sometimes also here DNS. In another slide, we have also here zip data and so on. So sometimes it's better fitting, sometimes it's worse fitting. And we have also one data which is here always very important. So if the packet checksums are the same, so let's say we have here maybe 20 packets per second, and those 20 packets have exact the same packet checksums. So then you are absolute sure these data packets are exact the same. So in this case, we need not to take care about many parameters. Now, if the packet checksum is matching, then this is matching for the whole package. So anyway, we then take this into account, this information, and create here this real-time signature. For example, we have detected here a packet size of 54, a destination port of 80, and destination IP here of 155.1.100.155, and an TTL of 63. So with this information, then we starting here the mitigation. So we create here that filter and block exactly this kind of traffic. So this looks like here. So we have here our public network, maybe here the internet. You have here the protected network, your internal network, and in between is the Defense Pro with the blocking rules. So in peacetime, we put here from the input before of the Defense Pro, going here to the statistics, and the statistics feed here also the learning database and the detection engine. The detection engine gets also an output about the learning, and we will see here about the learning. We can also concentrate the traffic to 3 different models. You can have here about the output, about the traffic of 1 day, 7 days, and 30 days. So if you have every day the same kind of traffic, then 1 day is okay. But in very less of the applications, you have every day exact the same traffic. You have weekdays, you have weekend, you have sometimes holidays. So therefore, you see there might be maybe here some differences. So for example, Monday to Friday is a lot of traffic. Saturday, for this application, the traffic slows down because Saturday is maybe only a half working day or less. And Sunday, mostly it slows down much more. So now, if we have this one-day learning model, then you see the system sees, okay, traffic goes down. And then Monday morning, you have a lot of traffic. And the system says, I remember yesterday, but yesterday it was much less traffic I learned. Today is so much. So I assuming we are under attack. So then we try to find patterns, but the system is unable to find it because it's all legitimate traffic. So you see, we have here some fails alarm in the system. And we try here to detect something, but we can't find common parameters. So therefore, in this case, it's maybe better to use here not the one-day model, you use the 7-day model. This means then we have here the last 7 days. So for example, if you have Monday, you do an average calculation from Sunday until Monday last week, and this value is used to compare. And since it's then shifting, so on Tuesday, we go from Monday to Tuesday last week. And even if you have then maybe some holiday or bank holiday in between, then it doesn't count here too much. The third option with the 30 days is for those customers who have extremely peaks, maybe at the beginning or at the end of the month or at any day in between. So let's assume many customers are downloading here their invoices, or employees uploading their monthly reports or something else. So where you have a lot of traffic. So in this case, maybe the 30-day option is better. And this means we always calculate 30 days in past and calculate here this average. And this is here shifting. So therefore, it's not for any month or something else. No, it's always the last 30 days in history. Okay, whatever you choose, in most of the cases, I think the 7-day is the best one. So we have here then the detection. We compare what we have learned, what is currently happening. And in this case, if the system says, there is a significant difference, so then we put the degree of attack to high. And in this case, or for this case, we stop here the learning. So if we are possible under attack, the learning is stopped. And we take this input traffic to the real-time signatures, compare here against here these possible parameters. And if we have here found some parameters, we can create this real-time signature. So this looks like here. So we have here then the time. So you see it takes around 10 seconds. And then we create here the filter and we see what happens. And we have typically here 4 optimization steps. And sometimes maybe the 4th step or one of the steps is maybe not very good. It doesn't have any advantage. So then maybe we step back and say, okay, here now we have here the final filter. So you see this 10 seconds is more or less fixed, and the other is a variable. So it can be here a couple of seconds, can be here many seconds. This depends a little bit what is how the attack looks like. And normally we already start here with the blocking. So if we then look to here, we normally here start here blocking the traffic. So what if we say, the first filter is maybe not very accurate. So we have here then also an option. We see also this later in a slide, but the slide I think is not that good as here. So you have also here then the possibility of the transparent optimization. So, and here if you put on the transparent optimization, you do not start blocking. Now you do only here go in read only, or it's a kind of simulate this blocking. And only here, then with the final filter, then we start really blocking if this filter is most accurate. Of course, on the one side, it's nice, but the problem is that we have here this variable time. So this means here, after 10 seconds, we have the first filter, we start blocking, we reduce the traffic. Here, we reduce the traffic after, in the average, 18 seconds. But this can be maybe 12 seconds. This can be also 60 seconds. We don't know. So it can be more, it can be less. And especially it can happen that here in the middle, maybe all TCP stack entries of the server are still gone. So the stack is full. And even if you have here not applied the final filter, the server is still down. So that's here the risks you need to judge by yourself how you want to do. And of course, if you maybe keep the transparent optimization off first, so this means here, then you have maybe here some complaints from customers, and you say, okay, let's try to turn here this transparent optimization on. You need only to tick it, and here also submit, and then apply it. And then you check, then if you happen that maybe here the servers are still down in the middle, then you need maybe to remove this option again, and also then activate it again or deactivate it. So that's up to you. So you can reverse this also, and it's therefore difficult really to recommend what is the best in your case. You have maybe also to think about with your colleagues or with the customer also. So whatever is best here, you can try. And yeah, I can only tell you the options here, what is possible, and what you at the end need to set up. It's up to you. Good. Do you have here any questions?
No?
Okay, good. And then, of course, once the attack is over, then we go back to business as usual. So we have, of course, this slight issue with these 10 seconds. So that we on the first 10 seconds a little bit blind. So, and to avoid this, what we found also here an optimization possibility. And this means here we have here this BDOS rate limit. So this means here during the first 10 seconds, so we will do in this case nothing. So if we see it looks like there is something happening, then we will not allow this huge amount of traffic. Now we say, okay, we limit this amount of traffic, and we limit it here to the normal edge, to the suspect edge, or to a user defined rate. So the normal edge and the suspect edge are values learned by the system. We will see later if we have then here some reports on the next slides. So then you get maybe here more ideas what is these edges. And with simple words here, the edges here are learned by the system are maybe also adjusted over long time. So it's not changing very fast, but if the system sees constantly more traffic, so then we will also increase this traffic, these edges. Or you can say, I would to do this by myself, then you mark here the last one, and you can put here also the limit here in kilobits or megbits. Good. Then after these 10 seconds is gone, so then we have here the first real filter. We can apply it. So this is also in case if we have here not this transparent optimization here enabled, then we're following these real-time filter rules, so then the limitation is gone. In case of transparent optimization, we keep this limitation more than 10 seconds until the final filter is found, and then with the final filter, we skip the limitation and use only here these real-time signatures. And this is here also an option which I think is very helpful. Good. Then in general here, DDoS protection here is and detects and prevents 0 day. So this means unknown DDoS and DOS floods. So it really learns, it will really analyze what's going on. And depending on this analyzation here, we are highly accurate then create here also this real-time signature. So here we have an ongoing automatic adaptation to new traffic patterns. So even if this attack was never seen in the system, if we get here some significant different traffic, because this is the trigger, because if the attack did not increase traffic or something, not increase traffic, so then we do nothing. So then there is no need that we do something. Requires also minimal configuration, doesn't require ongoing day-to-day maintenance because it's self-learning also and does not rely solely on weight. So therefore, we have also here minimal false positive rates because we create this real-time signature, which is exactly the opposite of then the attack traffic. Of course, there's a lot of positives, it's also some negatives. So that's as much sun is also much shadow. Then we require proper initial configuration for accurate convergence. So this I would also like to explain a little bit. First, we need to take care here about the bandwidth. So let's say the system, the connection is 1 gigabit Ethernet. So, but you don't need this full bandwidth. So on the average traffic is around, let's say, maybe 700 megabit. So, and then for this bandwidth configuration, we typically add here maybe 5 to 10% to have a little bit for peaks. So let's say maybe here 5%. So these are 35 megabits. So you set then this bandwidth to around 735 megabit. So this is here the first, the bandwidth. Then the next one are here the quotas. And this is the ratio of TCP, UDP, ICMP and IGMP. And if you're not sure, then first maybe use here the default. If you're sure, then the exact values. That we will see also a little bit later. We will talk in the next unit about tuning. So we will talk here about the bandwidth and the quota. And both are here the proper initial configuration. And also here you see requires here minimum configuration. So here this is also here, it's only here these two parameters. So therefore it's not too much. So this is the first what is important. And the second, which is not less important here, requires environment assessment and a few days of learning to generate baselines. And a few days of learning means typically a week, maybe two. Okay. Do you have here any questions?
No.
No? Good. Then about the configuration. So in the protections here, yesterday we talked about the protection policy, but below the policies here are profiles. So, and you create here the profiles and you remember also about the profile name. It's difficult to change. You can only change it when you copy this profile to a new profile, then you can associate a new name. Then we have here also the packet reporting. You remember also here in the policy, you can have the packet reporting in general or depending on the single profile. So you can turn on, turn off these detailed data reporting or for this feature or not. Then this is here the transparent optimization I have also explained before. You remember? And the profile action. And at the beginning, maybe here, you can start with report only to simulate how it's what is happening if you apply this. And then later, of course, you should go to block and report, because in report only, it's definitely only executed in the CPUs, and especially the larger devices get here much traffic in the CPUs, which is not in our design. The design is that most of the traffic is handled by the DOS mitigation engine. So therefore, the Defense Pro core processors needs to send this information to the DOS mitigation engine and advise the DOS mitigation engine to block this kind of traffic. So therefore, you should definitely go soon or later to block and report. If this is after a couple of minutes, hours, or maybe 1 or 2 days, this depends. Go to block and report when you are sure that this protection setup is correct. This protection setup is well working. So then we have here the first topic about flood protection settings. So and we have here these different possibilities. So we saw also here at the beginning, because the BDOS is here focused on parameters, mainly here TCP flags and the other UDP, ICMP, IGMP protocols. So in previous times, 20 years ago or so, and then the processors were weak and you say, okay, we use only maybe here TCP, we don't use UDP, so therefore we tick maybe here only TCP, or we want to see only maybe SYN flooding, the others are maybe not that important, and this is okay. Today, I cannot recommend this behavior again. So today, you never know what the next attack will be. So therefore, please select here all of these flood protection types. And this has also a special reason. For example, if you would only maybe here the TCP ones, because you have here maybe an HTTPS server. So therefore, you get maybe here, if you have not HTTP3 enabled, no UDP. But if you have then here an UDP flooding, for example, then you have here no detection. And you maybe overload the firewall or the web server, because with UDP traffic, the web server needs to send a huge amount of ICMP unreachable messages back. So, and the difference pro detect nothing. So therefore you see this here is not a good solution. So therefore, please use this one. Okay, so that's the first. And so therefore, please always select everything that you have here. You're responsible here for TCP, UDP, ICMP, IGMP, independent which application you have, because in general, you can have also on a DNS server, TCP or ICMP flood attacks. And on the web server, you can UDP attacks. Everything is possible. Good. And then the next one is here the bandwidth setting. So, and about the bandwidth, you remember also my explanation before. Use here the real traffic plus 5 to 10%. I would recommend more the 5% that you increase on demand. So, and also if you have asymmetric, use the higher value. So as an extremely example, you have maybe video streaming. The request is maybe here 5K bit, and the response is 5 meg bit. So you put here 5 meg bit and here 5 meg bit. So here, even if you have here only 5K, so you put here for inbound and outbound, so you should be always here symmetric. Only on the advice of the EIT, that's different. Okay, so therefore start please symmetric. What is a little bit more difficult is here the quotas. So you have for the quotas also in general incoming and outgoing here percentage compared here to what is the ratio of the TCP traffic, the UDP traffic, fragmented ICMP, IGMP. And in most of the cases, you don't know. So therefore, in most of the cases, you say here, choose the default. And if you later need to tune, so this means if then the baselines are here too close, this means here the baselines we will have here, and then also the baselines will be in the graph. So we have here the normal edge, the suspect, and the attack edge. Where's my mouse? Is it? So. So, and if this differences here is okay, in case of KK, then the quotas here. So if it's too small or too large, so if you need to move it here, or maybe here, then you need to adjust. But that we will see also in the tuning. Next module. Good, then you see also about the quota. This quota can also here exist the 100%. So you can have, for example, let's say maybe here for TCP, you put maybe here 80%. For UDP, you put also 80%. And for ICMP, maybe you put here, 5%. And IGMP, you have maybe here also maybe here 5 or 3%. So in sum, 160, 168%, which can of course not at the same time, but you can have maybe at the same time 50-50 and no ICMP, no UDP, or you can have maybe here 70-30 or so. So there can be here some shift around depending on the current traffic. It's only here then the maximum. Good. That's the base settings of the BDOS. So in general, it's not that difficult. Do you have here any questions?
Yeah, I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
When you talk about the report only and block and report feature, when I put the videos in block and report, is it still learning the traffic?
Yeah. The learning is ongoing until you have the degree of attack of 8 and above. So always this is similar, compared a little bit like a human. So as a kid, the kid attend school the full day. So therefore the learning is very intensive. After school is finished, so then you have to work, you do some profession, but the learning is still ongoing. Then the learning is not longer the focus. So the learning is done in parallel to the work. And the same is also here in the Defense Pro. So you should have at the beginning intensive learning and good learning where we need not to have any protection, because we cannot turn the protection on and off or so. And then after 1 week, 2 weeks or so, then you can go into production. This means the learning is still ongoing, but it can happen that also the one or other attack is detected, that the system needs also to create a real-time signature and block this traffic.
Okay, great. Okay.
Good.
And the other question is about the bandwidth setting that you talk about. For I know with the latest versions, the kbps changed to bytes. Is it true?
This depends here. So you can have in the system set up kilobytes, megabytes, and so on. So that's it depends here what traffic you have. And of course, if you have maybe a smaller system, let's say maybe here VA, you will have in general maybe here smaller values. If you bought maybe here a Defense Pro 200, 400 or so, then the values will definitely much higher.
So if I want to configure 50 Mbps, I need to put 50,000 kbps?
Yes, depending which scale you have. So I can quickly connect to the system. One moment. So here,
I
one
ask it
moment.
because what told me that bandwidth setting changed to bytes.
Yes, it's bytes. Yes. One more, yeah, bits or bytes. Good question. I need to look this up by myself because I do not set it up here too often by myself. One moment. So. Now we can double check this immediately. So. So then. So we need to create a profile. Kilobit per second. Yes, we can also here not change here the parameter. So here, but here you need to key it in kilobit per second. So therefore, if you have here maybe some Mac or something else, maybe here the value is maybe a little bit larger.
So if I configure it 50,000 kbps, it will be 50 mbps.
50,000 kilobits. So it's then 50 megbit, and then maybe do it easier. Maybe here, if you have not 50, have 80. This is easier to calculate. 80,000 kilobits are here 80 megbits or 10 megabytes. Because here the small b is byte, I think here, but you can also see it here. I hope it's written. Let's see also here the online help. Yeah, it's also here, but kilobit per second. Yes, not byte, kilobit per second. You see, yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
see
what I
often.
know.
Yeah,
But our professional service said that it's changed to bits, to bytes. So.
Yeah. Here we have here the version 8.33. So it's one of the latest ones. Maybe we have to change if it's 8.34 if it changes, but I don't think so. Because honestly, if you would change this, then you need also, in case if you upgrade the system, then you need also to convert it. And I do not expect it, but honestly, this is my guessing. I don't know this. So if there is maybe some changes, so you have maybe to put an eye on this parameter if there is really a change after the upgrade. But I personally would say no. There is no change. What can happen that if you upgrade the systems, that this value here increases because especially we have always new systems. So we get maybe here next time, maybe about something above the Defense Pro 800. So let's say maybe the defense pro 1000, the defense pro 1200, or whatever will come at next. So therefore more throughput, and then this value then will here increase as well. But I am expecting that we keep the kilobit per second. Otherwise, we need to change this parameter in case of upgrading the software. So converting the configuration, and why we should do. But this is honestly my personal guess.
Yeah, I think it's a major change to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So and why should we change this? I don't see here any need. But okay,
thank
if
you.
they told you, yeah, please, welcome. Okay, good. Then let's continue here, and we have then here also then the option about the tuning. So and about tuning. So or before we go here to tuning, of course, here the slide evaluation. So we have here the environment assessment. You think about, okay, I want to protect my network by a defense pro, which kind of traffic I have to expect. So therefore, I need to buy maybe this kind of models, maybe buy this license. Then if you bought it, then you get it once you have the initial configuration we have done in the last module. And now we are here in the tuning. So now we need then, after we have the initial configuration, we need to verify, is everything correct configured? Maybe we do need to adjust some parameters. So and the parameters, as you remember, are here the quota and the bandwidth. These are the two screws you have to turn to adjust the device according your need. And especially here for the tuning, here the quota, you can increase, you can decrease on demand. So the bandwidth, you should only increase, because if you decrease it, you reset the learned baselines. Of course, if you're doing this on the very beginning, so let's say we had here the example with the bandwidth. 1 gigabit Ethernet. So, and we have here around 700 megabit traffic. So let's maybe write it this way. And therefore, we should set here 700 and maybe 35. But imagine that your colleague maybe don't set 735, he sets 1000 because he says this is here a gigabit Ethernet. So therefore, we can set it here to 1000 megabit. So, but if you have here only around 700 megabit traffic and you have here the bandwidth to 1000, the system will probably never detect an attack. So therefore, if you maybe look now or double check the setup and say, oh, this value is too high. And this value was set maybe here on the same day in the morning. Now it's maybe afternoon, or it was set yesterday or so. Then of course you can change this value, and you can change it here to 735 without any issue, because then you lose learning for a couple of hours, maybe a day. So this is, I think, not a problem. But if you have this 1000 megabit set, and you have maybe the system in production mode for maybe half a year, for a year, and you say, yes, so the system looks, it's really a great system, because until we have the system, we never detected any attack. We had a couple of issues maybe on a web server, but we never detected an attack. And then you do maybe here some supervision and say, this value is far too high. We need to lower it. But in this case here, you reset the baselines and you lose learning for maybe a whole year. And this, of course, is a real pity you have to avoid. So therefore, please be very careful with the bandwidth. Then that you start smaller. So therefore, if you're not sure, then maybe start here in this case with 700 megbit, or can start with 710 megbit or something else. Start anyway with a smaller value. Start with a value which is maybe too small, and then you slightly need to increase. Increasing is always better than decreasing. So therefore, try to start with a small value and increase it on demand. About the quotas, here again, you can increase and decrease. And there's also a slight issue if you are here in the software below 8.27, if I'm correct, or similar. So in this case, for bandwidth, in case of bandwidth change, the quota reset to factory. So normally this software version should not longer be used. You should be in any software version in the area 830, and so then should be not any issue. But if you have for any reason these older versions, a little bit be careful. And I would recommend make a copy about the quota values. And if you increase the bandwidth and the quotas have changed, then restore the values to the previous set one. So this is important. And so if you increase the bandwidth and the quota have not changed, then you know, okay, this software has not longer this bug. It's fixed that bug, and this bug was detected. And so therefore, please be aware that you need here to make a notice about the quota settings. But normally, this should be not longer any issue. Good. Then these are here these baselines. So if you go here to the BIOS traffic monitoring, this can be here in the security monitoring on the Defense Pro itself, or it can be in the analytics. So in general, the graphs looks very similar. So here you are here in the security monitoring, because we can select here different protection types. In the analytics, you have all the different protection types on the same screen, side by side. So, but the output, the graph is more or less the same. So you have here, you see the green ones. Here is the normal edge. The amber one is here the suspect, and the red one is here the attack edge. And this is here learned by the system. And if you have here then your traffic, you see your traffic is here around the normal, and sometimes it also crosses the suspect edge. So this is here too high, because the system thinks if this is here legitimate traffic, could be close to an attack. So the system is here alerted always. So therefore you keep the system here busy, but it's not necessarily. So therefore you need to increase the quotas, that the spacing here is better, or maybe also increase the bandwidth a little bit. So you see, you need to change here these parameters that most of the traffic is here below the normal edge and crosses only a little bit. This one here is the expected. And this is here your task. You need to do the tuning. With the tuning, a little bit, be careful. So if I flip back here, if you say, okay, and this is here by 500, and I need maybe here to lift this, so therefore I need maybe here to add maybe here 100 or 200 kilobits per second or something else, or megbits. So no, don't do it. If you see it here, increase the value a little bit and watch it. So if you increase it, then you will see, for example, here, if you increase, you have here the red one on hand. So then you see then this parameter here changes here. And if you see, okay, it's not too bad, then you increase here again, and you increase here again until you have it. So therefore, don't do any calculation. Do this only visual. So this means increase the value a little bit, watch the screens. What is the action? Then if this is too less, do it a little bit more and a little bit more. So therefore, don't change the parameters too dramatically, because if you change it too dramatically, let's say here, example here, we make here too dramatic, so then it's too much. And if you need to step down, then you lose baseline, use the database. This means reset. So, and this here you have to avoid. Therefore, this don't do it. So therefore, don't do it here this way. So only small steps. Okay, this is important to know. And also then, if the bandwidth, then also the spacing here is the quota. So you can increase or you can decrease depending what is necessarily. So if you say, maybe that spacing is a little bit much, so then you could maybe here also bring it here a little bit down. So more together. So this means here decrease quota. It's maybe a possibility. But in general, I think this is fine. There's maybe mostly nothing necessarily. Good. You see also here, you have maybe here some legitimate traffic. And this is here above the attack edge. So therefore, the system is constantly under attack. We try to find patterns, but we don't find patterns because all this individual traffic is different. So we cannot have here some common parameters. So therefore, here the bandwidth configured here is too low, so we need to change it. And you see here also in this example, so if you make a change, then this is immediately means within the next second if you draw the next one, because the graphs are not drawn constantly. Now it's drawn in intervals every couple of seconds. You get here an add-on. So, and then you see if you change it here, then you see it. And if this is here too less, for example, if you did here to a small value, so maybe you can also change it here to the green color. I have it here maybe a little bit. So if you maybe did it here this way, and you see, it's too much less, then do it again, and now it's okay. So therefore, prefer to have here smaller steps instead of having a too large step. Good. So then here about the quotas in general, here you can go to 99%, you can go to 100%. So this depends a little bit. You can have in general, if you're not sure, can have also here the TCP and UDP between here a couple up to 100%. So, and of course, you cannot have TCP and 100% UDP at the same time, but there is maybe some shifting around for ICMP, IGMP, then you have always lower values because I think you will have never 10% ICMP, because if you have 10% ICMP traffic, this is a lot. And ICMP is typically only for testing and maintenance. And so, of course, if you have many UDP applications, and if you have then also here then the ICMP messages that the services are not available, of course, then this can happen. But even then, if this service is so not available, then something is wrong. So therefore, you see here this 10% is critical. So I think there should be less than 10%. But again, this depends about your applications. So then we have here a next important parameter we find here in the advanced settings. So this is here the footprint strictness. And the footprint strictness tells you how much of these, or how many of these parameters we need to find for our real-time signature that we can use. So you see, if you have the footprint strictness low, you need at minimum one parameter. But of course, one parameter will match many data packages. So therefore, probably the false positive risk is high. If you're doing the opposite, they're high, we need to find at minimum 3 parameters. And therefore, the false positive risk is in general low. Of course, you see we have here the plus. So even in low, if we find 5 or more parameters, then we will have, of course, 5 parameters in use. And then in low, with 5 parameters, the false positive risk is also low. But we don't know. We don't know how the next attack will look like, how many of the parameters we can detect in the system, because this depends about the attack patterns used from the attacker. So therefore, can be in low, can be high, can be low, can be something in the middle. So therefore, we don't know, but it depends a little bit. And if you have here, for example, set it to high, so we are looking here for 3 parameters, but maybe here for this kind of attack, the system can detect only 2, but we need 3. So you see, therefore, if you go here to the info, non-strict footprint, so this means we have detected here something, but the system will not start to mitigate because it says, I would like to do, but I'm not allowed due to this low, this high strictness. So therefore, if you see, of course, this kind of traffic, then you could also, of course, change then the footprint on the fly, and then the system will also start mitigation. But the intention about behavioral DOS is not that you constantly monitor it and also then make changes also here. Now, normally the system should have a suitable setup which allows the full automatically detection and mitigation of attacks. Yeah, that's the tuning we have here in advices in the basic ones. You will get here additional tuning options and also advices in the level 2 training. But first, we have here to get the system up and running. And in the level 2, of course, we can also enhance this knowledge of you again. Do you have here any additional questions?
Yeah, one question. In the quota values, what is the lowest quota value I can configure?
The lowest is should be, I think, 0, but we can also try this because this has also changed sometimes. So you see here in the quotas. See if we have here maybe.
Can I configure 100% TCP traffic?
Yes, yes, you can have here. You can have here 100%. You can have here also 100%. You can having here also 100 and the UDP, for example, 100. Then UDP fragmented. We can also have by series 100. And maybe here for ICMP, let's have maybe here 5%. And let's see also here, you need to have here maybe 2%. Let's see. So then yes, the GM. So then we can need to have here some bandwidth because that's also the minimum. We need to do here some setup. And of course, the select all. So then we have here the select all, the bandwidth, and the quotas. Okay. And then we can double check.
The lowest value can be 0.
Now you see here the lowest value can here then be 10%, but I don't know why it has here changed to 80 only. Maybe if I have here set.
Maybe 80 is the highest.
I don't expect it. But we can also then use maybe the help because this is changing unfortunately from time to time. Now you see here it's 100%. No, it's working. So it's maybe due to I have set the bandwidth later. And honestly, normally it's better to set it in the different direction. So then let's do it here again. You can also go with the tab key.
Maybe the quota settings need to be the last to configure.
Yeah, yeah. So and then having here, I think also here 5, 5, 2, 2, let's say. Yeah, So you see, it's also possible here. So and normally we have here between 1%, I think, or 100%. We can also maybe see what is the help saying. Quotas. Okay. No, unfortunately, we get here then the traffic. So you see here the traffic changes here. So therefore you see it for different software versions. Maybe here this value, the maximum value changes here, but no, but in general, you see here it was working. Also, we can maybe try to see it if also 1% is working. Then let's check this here. Yeah. So you see between 1% and 100% you can have.
Okay, I will play with it in the lab.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
But be prepared. This can be maybe in different versions, especially in older versions, a little bit different. I noticed, for example, I remember here in version 6 and 7, of course, this is many years ago. There we have here some minimum versions about, was it 5 or 7% or something else? So, and I tried to bring it down, but if it always comes up with a higher value, then you know this software version don't likes lower values. And also what is a little bit here strange to me, normally we have here then an help. So if I remove it here, then it should tell me what is the parameter, the maximum and minimum, but in this case, it doesn't tell me anything. Because if you remember, compare it here with the bandwidth.
Showed you what the
So here with the bandwidth, it tells you here this value. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I will play with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, that I cannot say, or need advice here that you see, need to do it here a little bit more practical. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So, and then very similar what we have here in the standard BDOS, you will see also here in then the DNS protection. So, the DNS protection is here also very similar because it's also some BDOS. So, and of course for BDOS, we will then here explain here the DNS. So you see here it's the resolution. We are here about the URL to the IP address, you know. Also, it's very similar to a phone book, but on the phone book here, it's read from left to right. And for DNS, it's read here from right to left. So the most important is here on the right side, and the least important is here on the left side. So what is here also important, we have here different kind of DNS servers. A client is talking typically to the recursive server, and at current, this might be changed also in the future, but at current, this is always a UDP request. So therefore, we're talking here UDP. And of course, normally the recursive server should have here this request in cache and should be able to retrieve it. So therefore, for often used ones, for local ones, yeah, we should have in the cache. But if you're looking at here for some information which is not in the cache, then the recursive server needs to ask also the authoritative server, and with the authoritative server, then we have here UDP or TCP communication. So therefore, we need to take care about both kind of traffic. So different carriers and ISPs maybe offer recursive server. Authoritative servers are often then in enterprise and service providers as well. So especially here enterprise, they know exactly which services they offer, and so they will have here the last authoritative. Then we have also here a couple of kind of attacks. So we can have here standard attacks that you get only many attacks at the same time. And then we have here this recursive server still simple overloaded. And then we can have also here this random subdomain attacks. So for example, here we put here some additional information maybe in front or instead of the service. And therefore, of course, this information is not cached. And if it's not cached, we need also to ask here the authoritative servers. And you have also here some amplification. So if here you have here the request, then this request is also sent out, and maybe not only to one authoritative service, it can be sent to a couple of authoritative servers, because for domains and so often also redundant servers that if you get here maybe one request in, you send it out maybe to 2 or 3 servers or more. So the same is also here with these reflection attacks here displayed. So we have here also some amplification. And this means at the end, we have a couple of challenges in the DNS protection. We having here deep knowledge of the DNS server. It needs to be so early and accurate detection because the DNS is extremely important. We need, of course, here as we have the accurate detection, also, of course, the accurate mitigation, because we want only to mitigate the attack, not any legitimate traffic. Mitigation of high-rate DNS packages, and also mitigation even under attack is required. So, and we have also, yes, that I explained here by myself already. So then we have also here then in the DNS protection here, this mitigation here, which requires deep knowledge. So we have here to understand in the system, therefore the DNS traffic. We continually learn the DNS normal behavior. But this was also here your question, Ori, that the system constantly learns. So therefore it continually doing this. They also analyze every field in the DNS traffic, because we know how the DNS header is organized, and we can read it. And we create here also the real-time signatures with high accuracy. So this means exactly the same what we did with the BDOS before. So of course it's here also a BDOS feature. So we also do it here with the DNS requests. Then the detection of the attacks before they reach the DNS server. So we have here that positive protection models for the DNS queries. So we compare, and if we have here some match, then we will have here also then the positive detection. Of course, it's UDP. So therefore, we are here stateless. And for the mitigation here, we create here some unique DNS real-time signatures. Of course, mainly we try to use here also DNS parameters, but of course also maybe source destination IPs could be relevant, also packet size, TTL values. And then also here the DNS traffic statistics collection, and also analysis of the DNS traffic behavior. So we will see also on the next slides a little bit more about this. Handle also high rates of DNS traffic. And even if it's only a request and a response, but it's millions of packages we have to handle here. And therefore also the ability to handle different flood types, behavioral algorithm engine builds full coverage for all DNS floods. So we have, of course, not only the calculation, we have also here in our portfolio here this different behavior, and we try then to find out, and this is constantly also updated if we see also here a new kind of attack. We also put here in the algorithm database of the system and try to detect it. And also here the complexity of deployment. So single deployment model ingress only for all DNS servers and environments. So therefore it's for you easy to set up. So we have here the possibility for flat attacks, protocol attacks, server attacks. So I think this brings you not too much. And we have here an example. If we have here this random subdomains flood mitigation and using here rate limited in case of non-WARTE devices. So you have here a security device with rate limiting. So we detect here then a kind of attack, and it looks like here the paypal.com is attacked. We have here maybe some legitimate, this www or the history or the checkout. And then we have also here some random subdomains. And these random subdomains are of course not in the cache. So therefore we need also to try to put it, resolve it on the authority servers. And for this also we have a kind of amplification and yeah. But with the query per second rate limiting, this is prone to false positives because here you see we catch this, but we catch also a couple of legitimate traffic. On the other side, here this legitimate is forwarded. This is okay, but also we forward here also a couple of the attack traffic. So therefore, you see this solution with the rate limiting, there saves the DNS server. So the DNS server is not overloaded. It's not a problem. But here, false positives. So if you use instead of this device, the Defense Pro, we have here the BDOS. And with the BDOS, if you detect this kind of attack, then first we see, okay, PayPal is attacked and we block it in general. So we block here everything what is every service for PayPal. So this means here the RW, the WW, the GK, and so on, we block by default. But we remember we have learned something. We have learned in the history WW, history, and checkout.paypal.com was okay. So therefore you see in this case, so the green ones are all forwarded and all red ones are blocked. And this is done here by the signature. So we have here then the signature. We have in general block everything and only have here some positive list that you say, this we know should be fine. Good. About the DNS analysis. So we know how query types look like. We have A queries, quadruple A, pointer, MX, etc. And of course, also we know here, the FQDN query types. So we have also here some learning and learning here for the types, learning for the FQDN. We can also generate here then a list of different requests. And with this list here, we also create here this fuzzy logic. So you see it's the same as we had also in BDOS, of course, with different parameters. And at the end, we have also the normal suspect and attack edges. So then we check against the data. And of course, here in this case here, mainly here the DNS packages are here more interesting. For example, zip will never match. TCP maybe if the defense pro is between the resolver and the authorities, but if the defense pro is between the client and the recursive DNS server, TCP would also not hear any topic. So therefore also here HTTP URLs is also not a topic. So you see some of the parameters might match very well, some match not. Anyway, we create here this automatic real-time signature. And with this automatic real-time signature, we have here then an escalation procedure. So because the DNS server is extremely important, without DNS, all services are not available. So therefore, if we have now created here this real-time signature, then we have the first possibility here in a DNS query challenge. So the DNS query challenge means that we are looking here if the next packet is below 0.5 second, then we have some flood. And if the secondary request, so we block the first, I don't write it here, we block a first request. First, and wait for second. Request. So, and if the second request is here between, it's faster than half a second, we know we have flooding. If the secondary request is after 8 seconds, then we have maybe here only one time, because then we have not any second, or maybe also too slow. So therefore, you see, we need to looking here between 0. Maybe I will put this here in green. Only requests in case of here 0.5 and 8 seconds are processed. So therefore here second requests between 0.5 and 8 seconds are processed. So that's here this query challenge. And then we can have also here, if this does not help, we have here this query rate limiting. So this means according to real-time signature, we can also here having some rate limiting, because with the signature, we have classified the kind of attack, and then we limit also this attack, because it can happen that the attacker maybe have hijacked some ordinary Windows computers, and if the Windows computer gets not a secondary gets not an answer, then it sends here a secondary request within this time frame. So, but then we have here the query rate limiting. If this does not help, then we have this third escalation step. In this case, we looking here for all requests and have this collective query challenge. This means all requests will be blocked, and we wait here for a secondary request within a half a second and 8 seconds. And last but not least, if this does not really help, then we need to do some collective query rate limiting, because the DNS server needs to be saved under all circumstances. And about here the setup, so we have here then these options. Yeah. So we have here these options here. This is optional, and this is mandatory. So this means here you can tick it on demand or not. This is always on. Do you have here any questions?
No.
No, good. So then you see also we have here an extra DNS protection profile. Here also the name, block and report, reporting. Then you have also the quotas. And you need also here to enable it. So if you say, okay, I, for example, want not to have any SRV query, anyway, I don't know exactly. So then you can also remove maybe this tick, and then you are not sensitive for this. Or you want to have not this one, then you can also remove it. Otherwise, of course, we never know what is the next attack. So therefore, it's recommended if you're not sure, then also here, please tick everything, because then you are prepared for all case of attacks. Then also we have here the rate settings. We have here the expected DNS query rate, the max allowed query per second. So this is here also the bandwidth of the BDOS. Then using here these rate settings here, then it's normally also here the setting up here with BDOS. So if you say, I don't like the BDOS here in this case, you can also enable the manual triggers. And with the manual triggers, then you move from BDOS to threshold. Based. So if you have exactly an idea, what are your parameters? And so if you don't like the automatic functionality, then you can do this also manually. But again, it's highly recommended here to use the BDOS, because BDOS is a very good solution. So therefore, we recommend to stay here with the BDOS. Only in specific cases, the manual could be here also an option. Okay, then if you have here your profile generated, then you go also here to the policy and enable it here in the policy, the same as here as the BDOS. You can also here edit the profile if you like it, but a little bit be careful. If you edit this profile, and if this profile is used in different policies, then you change it, of course, for all policies. If you say, now I need only here a change for only this policy, then use the plus here and create a new one. And the plus then links you here to the new to the profiles, and you create a new profile. So therefore, you can therefore create the profiles here in the profile menus, or can do it also here from the policy with the plus. The outcome is exactly the same. So then in the policy, you have also here for this policy here the subdomains handling, and you can have here also creating here subdomains manually. The system will learn it automatically, some subdomains, or you can do manually. So if you, for example, export here this subdomains list, so if you select it here and export it, then you get here a text file. And you have maybe here in this text file, maybe here this www.word.com comma A. And A is automatic learned by the system. If you want to have here maybe an additional entry, let's say maybe here www.red.net, comma M, then this is here manual. So, and especially if you have maybe nothing learned, so if you're at the very beginning, in our lab, for example, then you could also create here a text file separately. And then you can also then here browse for this text file and import this file. Then you have also here these entries in, and the system will add maybe here on the list here some automatic entries if you're doing also some labs. And then later, if you export it, you will have in the text file all automatic and all manuals for this policy. Yeah, then also the analytics show you also here the events here. You see also here DNS flood. And also here then the details about your DNS attack lifecycle. So I think it's more or less self-explaining. And if you are not sure, remember here in the corner, you have the question mark, then also use the online help. Also, you can watch it here, the real-time signatures in the system. You can see it also here in the analytics. Yeah. That's the DNS. Do you have any additional questions?
No.
No? Okay. Then I think it's now time for the coffee break. So let's have here some break. So I can do it here today until maybe 11:15 CEST. Okay, then enjoy the break and see you then in a little bit more than 15 minutes. Oh, hello, I'm back from the break. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome back.
Okay, good, wonderful. So then let's continue. So this BDOS and DNS were DNS. So the next topics are then challenge-based. So we will then go here to the SYNFLAT, and this is the second large category of protection we offer in the Defense Pro. So we will here explain how the SYNFLAT attack works and also explain how the Defense Pro protects against SYNFLAT attacks. Of course, SYNFLATs are still up to date. It's easy to generate, and we're talking here about SYNFLATs, empty connection floods, HTTP GET floods. So, and here in the user, as you know, we have normally here the three-way handshake, the SYN acknowledge. So in this case, you cannot spoof any IP address because if you send here the SYN message, then you get here the SYN acknowledge back to this source IP address, and you confirm also that you got it by the ACK. So if you have an attacker, then the attacker is only interested here to send SYN messages. And if this IP address is real, then the SYN acknowledge goes back. But the hacker is not interested to send here any ACK, so it keeps this unanswered. Of course, in the server, we need to reserve here a session for each SYN request. So, and if you send here many SYN requests, then the session table is full. And if a real user sends a SYN request, then the server says, sorry, my session table is fully occupied. I need to send here also back a NUC or a reset message mostly. So if the attacker here do not use his real IP address, then it spoofs the IP address, then the SYN acknowledge, of course, goes back here to this spoofed IP address. So then the SYN acknowledge is not hitting the hacker, the SYN acknowledge is hitting any other user. So you see, for example, here, we have here maybe some clients spoofing the IP address. Then we have here also some command and control for these attackers. Maybe here the botnets, maybe hijacked computers with Trojan applications and so on. So, and then on demand, here the users starting sending here some SYN requests. You get here in a short time many SYN requests, and the TCP stack will fill very quickly. So imagine a web server has maybe 20,000 sessions available in the session table, and you have here 20 then clients. So if the clients send only 1,000 requests per second, then these 20 users or 20 bots get here within 10 seconds. If they send 10,000 SYN requests per second, which is also possible, depending on the network capabilities, so then you can flood the server here within 1 second. So therefore you see it's, and this is only with 20 clients. So imagine if you have 100 clients, if you have 500 clients or more, so then only a couple of messages are required to flood this server. And even if it's not a single server, if it's maybe here some load balanced solution that you have maybe here a load balancer with 10 application servers in the network, then also depending on the amount of attacking hackers, then you can flood this server farm within a couple of seconds. Also, you can maybe enhance this if you do not really spoof it randomly. So if you can spoof it here for some specific IP address, so you take maybe this real existing IP address, spoof it, sends here the requests, then you fill here then the TCP stack, and sending also acknowledges here to the victim server, which needs to send also then tons of reset messages. So therefore, the server keeps also very busy. And also you have the additional side effect that this server looks like it's attacked by this server. So if you have maybe here some competition between the public web server and the victim web server, so then you can also here create some confusion against maybe these companies, countries, and so on. So therefore, you see not only one web server here is then attacked. You can do with this kind of attack 2 web servers. Attack 2 web servers. Or here, empty connection floods is exactly the opposite. In this case, of course, you cannot spoof the IP address. You need to have here a full handshake. You establish the session. And after the session is established, you do nothing. Or the amount of timeout. So let's say if you have here 10 minutes timeout, then you wait for the next small request, 9 minutes and 50 seconds. So and then you send maybe here a simple request or maybe a fraction of a request, because we can also here use a fragmented data packages. And then within maybe the next 10, 20 requests, you send always one of these fragments. So this means after 20 minutes, no, the 20 times this timeout, then you the full request receives here. So this means, in fact, you have here extreme low traffic. You have also extreme low CPU traffic in the web servers, but the stack is full. And in case of legitimate users want to use these services, they get here some negative messages because the server can't operate it. So also here with HTTP GET floods here, we could also then here send requests which get also here the server very busy. For example, here standing here some search requests. And normally if you get the result of the search request, then you follow here the links. But instead of following the links, you send here one search after the another search. So this keeps only then the web server very, very busy. And here also some specific variation we can have here, that not the attacker sends here a request to a single destination IP address, because normally the web server has a single IP address, or often the web servers are behind the load balancer, which using here a virtual IP address as access point. Now here the attacker sends here SYN requests along the whole network. So this means if you have a C-class network, that you use all 255 possible IP addresses. And then you send here some SYN requests. And these SYN requests then going here to the network. And then in the network, then we will forward this SYN acknowledges here to the IP addresses which are mentioned here in the spoofed source addresses. So if the IP addresses are available, of course, not all IP addresses are used in this network. So you will have maybe here then not all SYN requests are answered, because some SYN requests going maybe here to unused IP addresses, there nothing happens. Some of these SYN requests, maybe you send maybe to a mail server, and SYN request for port 2021. So the mail server says, FTP I cannot handle. Send maybe here only a reset message, then here to this spoofed IP address, so this possible target. But you see also then in this case, this is difficult to detect, because we have here such many different destination addresses, and then the amount of packages per destination IP address is low. But in the Defense Pro, we have also here for this attack called carpet bombing here, some possibility that you can also summarize all those requests together, and have also here then larger values we can detect for the attack. We will see also then some slides later. So that's here possible attacks. So you see there's a wide variety, and we need then to protect against. And protect against means here we have here the SYN, and if the SYN amounts are not too much, the Defense Pro did not take care. So here, and in this case, we forward here this immediately to the web server. But if we have here an amount of SYN packages which then trigger here our SYN flooding unit. So therefore you need to set up here the thresholds. So therefore here this feature is also here threshold based. And then instead of forwarding this request directly, we send out a challenge back to the client. So therefore, this feature is also called the challenge mode if you are above the thresholds. So we send here the challenge. We send here something the client needs to do, and the client needs then to respond, and we can verify. So this feature also is based here on activation and deactivation thresholds. So we have here some activation, we have here some deactivation threshold. You see, and here we have here also the timeline in seconds. So here in the first seconds, we have only a little bit traffic. On the second more, less, more, less, more, a little bit less, but all above the activation. So if we cross once the activation, then we activate here this challenge and we keep it active until we first time cross the termination threshold. So you can have activation and termination threshold also very close together. So this means here, if you maybe move the termination also to 2500, then you see you turn on, turn off, turn on, keep on, turn off. So as closer these thresholds together, as faster we activate and stop it. At larger the distance, as more rarely we change from active to stop it. So therefore, it's up to you to define here suitable threshold limits. Do you have until here any question?
No.
No? Good. Then we are here, the SIM protection is here rate-based. We can generate here not a signature, because signature-based are BDOS. Rate-based detection here is this challenge response mechanism. We have here also here minimum performance impact due to processing in the DOS mitigation. So also the action will be if we detect here some possible attacker, because the challenge we got back from the client is not matching our expectations. So there's maybe no response, or there is a wrong response. And then in this case, we put this source IP address, or better source information, so source IP address and port numbers, into the DOS mitigation engine and block it there. We have also here a high-speed SYN protection, about up to 330 million packets per second, and can be here in symmetric and asymmetric environment. Symmetric means the Defense Pro sees the SYN and the SYN acknowledged, so it sees the request and the response. In asymmetric, we see only one direction. This means we see only the SYN. We don't see the SYN acknowledged. This is bypassed the Defense Pro, but then we see the acknowledge. So we see all gets, but we see not any responses. This is asymmetric. So and now let's talk about the different challenge modes. So the first is the transparent proxy. So in this case, the Defense Pro turns into a proxy, and it turns into a proxy if we are above these thresholds. So we have here more SYN requests than we have in the activation threshold. So if we are above, we turn it on, we go into active mode, and then instead of forwarding the SYN, we send here a SYN acknowledge back. And you have here also a so-called cookie. Do you expect we have here a real cookie, as you know from HTTP? or is this cookie here something different? What do you think?
Is cookie different?
Yes, definitely it's different, because here we are before all this HTTP stuff. So, and you see we have here some source and destination information, because we have here IP address, we have here protocol, and we have here port numbers. So layer 4 port numbers. And what we have also is here the sequence number. So let's say, for example, here this SYN has here then the sequence number, maybe 2000. So if we send back this data packet, what can you tell me about the sequence number in the SYN acknowledge? How the sequence number looks like?
Sequence number must be different than the sequence number in the scene.
Different, yes. And the sequence number here in
Maybe
the return
higher.
packet is 2001, because it's incremented by 1. So this is here about the SYN. So for the SYN acknowledge, we want to have also here a sequence number. So, and honestly, if you have here some sequence numbers, then you need also to have here normally then this TCP stack, where you have also store these sequence numbers. So, but as you remember, this is honestly the problem. So therefore, to store the sequence number causes also stack overflows. So therefore, we will not store it here. Instead of doing here some static numbers, we calculate this number. So we take here also source, destination information, and make here some mathematical calculation, which then will create a number. So in this calculated number is sent to the client. The client returns this sequence number +1 to the defense pro. So therefore, we need to do first subtract 1, recalculate this sequence number, and compare received with recalculated. So, and this is then here the replacement of storing this statically. And honestly, if you have to search also this information in a large TCP stack, so the calculation does not significantly need more time. So therefore, it's also very powerful, and it saves the storing. So therefore, you see, if, for example, we get here SYN requests, and this IP address have some spoofed IP address, for example here. So then the SYN acknowledge goes here to this spoofed one. So therefore, the spoofed one says, this is a wonderful SYN acknowledge message, but I cannot remember to send any SYN. So it throws it away or sends a reset message, depending what is the setup here of this device in case of this error handling. So maybe we get the response, maybe we get nothing. And even if this attacker then do not handle this correctly, so therefore we need here to have the sequence number here +1. If this number is not correctly calculated, then also this will not work. But in most of the cases, we anyway get here now acknowledge. So therefore, if we get now acknowledge, we need no calculation. And in this case, this SYN request, of course, requires here some bandwidth of the network connection, but not any further action. So this means this SYN request will be also never forwarded here to this public web server. So therefore, the Defense Pro has mitigated this attack successful. Good. This is here the first step. So I will now tidy up here because it's here too much. So let's say here the user here is a Windows user and it's hijacked. So therefore, the cookie handling is correct. So then if this is passed, or this first step is passed, then we have here a secondary check. So we forward now this SYN using, of course, a different sequence number because the proxy here, this is an L2 proxy. And we have here this sequence number as proxy. So this means IP addresses, port numbers, everything is fine, but the sequence number is here different. So, and if this is destination IP address is really the web server can really handle this request. So we need to see here also on the Defense Pro here, this SYN acknowledge arriving. And if this is also here arriving, then we have also established the connection. And if the cookie is fine, the connection is established, then we have it authenticated and forward next requests. So you see, it's a little bit complex, but this kind of transparent proxy gives you a very good security. It's a very secure behavior. So it's here released with software version 8.20, so therefore it's available for many years. Disadvantage, it works only in symmetric setups, because as you remember, yeah, if the SYN acknowledge here is bypassed the Defense Pro, so they don't see it. In this case, we fail here, and we have no authentication. So therefore, it's only possible here for symmetric backup setups. So this means here typically in enterprise environments, it's possible. And in, of course, all other symmetric setups as well, not for asymmetric. So this transparent proxy, if you get here the spoofed source IP addresses, then we return here this SYN acknowledge and the cookie to the source IP addresses. So this source IP addresses will never respond anything. So therefore, this connection is dropped and mitigated. You see here also for all protocols, we send here the SYN, sending here the SYN acknowledge, and having here also the acknowledge. So if we get here this acknowledge, then we try here to send also the SYN to the original server, so to the original protected object. We wait here for the SYN acknowledge. If you get this SYN acknowledge, then we send here also the ACK, and we are here in the transparent mode. So if you have here some specific protocols like HTTP, real-time streaming, and HTTPS, then we're doing here a little bit different. We have enhanced the security. So we have also here the SYN acknowledge. And before we send the SYN to the server, we need to see here also the data request or the GET request, because for HTTP real-time and HTTPS, we can see here also then the packet request. And only if we see here this data request, then we send out the SYN. But how this is done by the Defense Pro, how we see we need for this three-way handshake, or after this three-way handshake, we need to wait for the data. And in case of other SYN requests, we send out directly without this data. Do you have any idea how the Defense Pro will do this behavior? Because it cannot be here too complex, because we are still in establishing the TCP session. So who has any idea? No ideas? So you remember we have here in this SYN also the destination IP plus protocol plus port number. So in this port number here, we can verify against these protocols in the application class. You remember? So, and as you remember, maybe from the application class here, HTTP, we have by default port 80 and port 80. So let's use the standard port 80. So if you have here the destination goes here to the web server with TCP port 80. So we have here, in this case, between this port 80 and here this port 80 a match. So in this case, we know, okay, we need to wait. So if you have maybe here an HTTPS application, which is maybe very specific app using port 5555. So if you have here, then the port 5555. So we can also here compare it. We have a match and we know, okay, we have to wait for the data. So you see this is working for standard or non-standard ports. Always, if these used ports are here in the application class listed, then we go into this mode. Okay, do you have any questions here?
In configuration, we need mark ports for application class here, and then Defense Pro know how he need what do wait or not wait. Yes.
Correct. If you have here a match, we need to wait. If you have no match, we need not to wait.
Okay.
Good. So this is the one. So you see, there this transparent proxy is very nice, but of course has here some complexity. And the disadvantage is here about only for symmetric. So if you are having an application and say, I have here to protect asymmetric traffic. So in this case, for asymmetric environment, you must use here the safe reset, because the safe reset it takes care about. So you see, we have also here the SYN. We have here the SYN acknowledge with the cookie. And in this case, then we need to force the client to send here a reset message. How we force here this reset message? So you see also we send here a bad acknowledge message. Do you have any idea to force to send the reset and to send here a secondary SYN message?
Maybe because you break the three-way handshake, because you're expecting to see
Inspecting to?
Sinak.
Yeah, SYNAC. But here, we need
You're
to do some
expecting
bad
to
one.
receive from you
So,
Sinak,
and
but you send in an ACK.
so you remember, now we're doing here a little bit different. So you remember about the sequence number. The sequence number here is increased by 1 and returned. So what happens if we send back here the same sequence number? You get here in the sequence number 2000, and we use a sequence number 2000 again. So the client says, I'm expecting 2001 and not 2000. So therefore this is wrong. Sending a reset and sending here a SYN with the 2000 again. So this we can detect. And in this case here, you see if the sequence number is invalid, we have here this SYN retransmit. And if this retransmit is happening within 3 seconds, because we have here a small buffer, which stores it only for a couple of seconds, this means here up to 3 seconds. And then if we get the same number again, then this is also tracked as authentication. And in this case, we authenticate this source IP address and forward it. So you see, this is not that complex, that not so secure like the transparent proxy, but it's here an option. So and you see also here, the option here is works in symmetric and asymmetric ingress environment. We have here no delayed binding, so it's therefore a little bit more powerful. And we have also here less latency since authentication table entry is active for 20 minutes. And therefore, if this client here is authenticated here positive, then it's authenticated for 20 minutes. So we have it not here in asymmetric mesh environment. About asymmetric mesh environment, I have to tell you, this can be here from symmetric until bypassing everything. So, and if we need to go to the last statement, bypassing everything, if everything is bypassed, we have no security. So therefore, for asymmetric mesh, there is honestly not any protection possible, because in the worst case, everything is bypassed. Then maybe a firewall block also a safe reset packets, and that I will also explain. So if you have here maybe in front of the client here some firewall. So you see that we get here this invalid sequence number, and this invalid sequence number might be blocked in the firewall. So therefore, the client didn't get this invalid sequence number, therefore can't not send any reset messages and cannot retransmit the SYN. Of course, if the firewall is doing the job, if the firewall sees, okay, invalid sequence number, sending the reset and doing here some SYN retransmit, everything is fine. But we do not know how the firewall is acting. If the firewall is doing this correctly, yes, it's working. If the firewall is not doing it correctly, it's maybe not working as expected. So therefore, firewalls may block it. And with a proxy on the let me date client request, we can authenticate also the attacker, because if the proxy is authenticated, and then also here this entry is not only for the good client, it can be also for an attacker, or it can happen that, for example, the attacker first sends a good request, then it authenticates itself, and then afterwards here it starts some flooding. So therefore you see we can also having here some issues. So therefore the safe reset is not too bad, especially for asymmetric traffic, but it's not as secure as the transparent proxy. And especially about this firewall issue, we have here also an additional option. We have here the so-called TCP reset. Instead of safe reset, we have here the option of TCP reset. So this works very similar like the safe reset. So therefore we have the same layout, but we have here a different behavior. So you see we have here the SYN. We set up here the SYN acknowledge with the correct sequence number. And then we get here also the acknowledge. We wait also here for the data, but of course we are here above then the activation threshold. So, and if we here above the activation threshold, in this case, we need also to doing the challenge. So then the reset is sent from the Defense Pro. So in the Defense Pro, we set the reset and the ACK flag. And this, of course, releases the session. The client says, was nice. I have established the session, I have sent the data, and then the server sends me a reset. But I would like to have here this information. So therefore we send a new SYN messages again. But of course, this is a real new SYN message. That's not a retransmit, because this SYN was here already confirmed. So therefore it's here a next SYN. And if we get also here within 3 seconds after we send out this reset here a new SYN from the same source, then we track this also as authentication and everything is fine. So therefore the TCP reset sticks a little bit more on the protocol behavior than the safe reset. The safe reset honestly is a little bit rude to send out wrong sequence number. Of course, for a test, it's also not too bad, but it's a little bit rude. So the TCP reset here sticks also to the rules. So it's according the TCP behavior. And this is here possible for HTTP, HTTPS, and SMTP protocols. So this means if you enable it, and in case if we detect HTTP, HTTPS, and SMTP ports in the TCP SYN, then this is here for these protocols the preferred method. So also works in symmetric and asymmetric ingress only, no delayed binding. We have, of course, here the limitation for only these 3 protocols. Asymmetric meshes, again, not supported. Asymmetric meshes supported by nearly nothing. Depends on the application to respond to the reset. Of course, if the application gets a reset, do we get here a new one or not is always the questions, but normally we should send a new SYN. And we have the same issue, of course, with the authentication. So this means if the attacker sends a good data packet, and then in the second, in the third data, then it starts the attacking. Then of course it's still authenticated. So also here it's a little bit risk. So therefore, in case if you can use this transparent proxy, this is the much better option, but it requires symmetrically. So in case of asymmetric, maybe this TCP reset is also an alternative options. Good. So then we have here these three different authentication possibility for TCP. This works in general well, but of course we saw also in the history, sometimes this authentication could be bypassed by attackers in case if they're hijacking some clients. So they hijack maybe some Windows, some Linux computers, but mostly Windows computers. And then the Windows stack automatically does this operation. So therefore, this kind of a challenge could be also done, even if we have here some hackers. So for this, we have also the HTTP level challenges. So on from the HTTP level challenges, we have here the redirect or the JavaScript. So first we have always here the TCP challenge, then we send here the GET request, the HTTP GET request, and having here then the real layer 7 cookie. So this is now an HTTP cookie plus the redirect message. So for this, we close the connection, sending here, doing here the TCP challenge here again, sending here also the get post packet, and with the cookie, then we verify here this cookie. If this cookie is fine, then we send here also another redirect, and now we forward this request then to the protected server. So you see, especially for slower network here at the beginning, this is here a little bit clumsy. So for slow networks, you see here a little bit delay, but of course it's here much more secure, and you can increase the security also by the JavaScript. So here in the JavaScript, instead of the redirection, we send here a JavaScript challenge. It requires also in the client that you have a Java script engine running, which of course is often not the case for attackers. So if you have maybe here some bot computers, they mostly have no JavaScript engine running because this is very resource hungry compared to standard behavior. So here we send then the JavaScript request. And this JavaScript request needs here to be executed on the JavaScript engine. We send the response back. And if this response is okay, then also we authenticate it. And then we go here into this transparent mode. So therefore, the JavaScript is a little bit faster because we have not the two redirects, and we have the requirement here of the Java engine in the client. So this means also it binds here more resources in the attacker, and often attacking computer do not spend these resources. So therefore, we can use to detect this and divide attackers and legitimate users. Good, you see here then also the redirection. We see also the redirection in the response message, and also here the in JavaScript. Of course, the JavaScript, especially here, is difficult, and also the redirect for HTTPS, because these information we need to inject in the layer 7 header. So therefore, if you want to do, we need first to decrypt the HTTPS packet, have it in clear text, have then to insert the challenge, re-encrypt it again and send it to the client. And this we are doing then in the level 2 training in case of HTTPS mitigation. So therefore it's here not covered in the level 1 part. Good. Then we have here the different options for here SYN flood, empty connection flood, HTTP get flood, carpet bombing, and we can have here a question for you. So you see here, we have here our internet network. We send here then the request via the Defense Pro to the application server, and the application server then returns this traffic directly without the Defense Pro. And now the question, can we use in the Defense Pro here transparent proxy?
No, it's asymmetric scheme, yes?
Exactly. What we can here, or what we need to use instead of, what you recommend?
So it's asymmetric schemes, and I don't remember how it's
Safe reset or
You can use safe
TCP
reset.
reset. So one of these two you need to use. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So this is correct. So here, safe reset and TCP reset only. Good. Then about the setup. So you need to set up for each protocol here in the SYN flood protection here your thresholds. So you have, for example, here the threshold by default 2500 and 1500. That's here for all different protocols here, the defaults. You see, we have here some names, and mostly the name here is using also the ports defined in the application classes. But we can it also a little bit having different. For example, for POP3, we do not refer to the application classes. Now we have it here directly. But again, I do not like it. I like more to have here then always here the protection name associated here to the application port group. And if you have, for example, here for POP3, no application port group, I would recommend go to the classes, go to the application and select here and then a group having here maybe IMAP POP3 maybe and associate here the port 110 to the class. But again, you can do it here with the application port group. You can do it here with static values as well. And by the way, here the static are also here our defaults. You see also even Radware did not use here application port groups. And if you create here your own application, so for example here you have maybe here my special. So then it's here user defined, and you have also then here in the application class here my special application. So here then you have maybe here the MSA, and having here maybe then the threshold you can have also maybe here 1000, and you have maybe here 800, and here the risk level is for this security monitoring. So if you go on the security monitoring map, then you have here 4 categories: info, low, medium, and high, and it will show up here in the medium or will be here maybe in the low section. So you can create here your own entries. So if you have here suitable application prepared, so with the thresholds, then yes, here you can also here put in here your own ones. So then you can create here the profile, and you say, for example, here this profile SYN customer A consists of HTTP and HTTPS. So if I flip back here, you see here for HTTP and HTTPS, you have here both the same threshold, but of course you could also change it here and have maybe here for HTTP, maybe a threshold of 3000, So this means here then in this profile, here we have here the threshold of 3000. Here we have the threshold of 2500 for activation. And then we have here additionally profile parameters. And this additional profile parameters here, it's the action. Maybe first again, report only. Then after you test something, block and report. Then per default, we track here per destination IP addresses. The carpet bombing will use the other, but we have an extra slide for this. Then we have also here then the network authentication. You remember here, transparent proxy safe reset and the tick box with TCP reset. So if you tick the TCP reset, it will override for the supported protocols, maybe the safe reset, or also override the transparent proxy. And on demand, we have here the HTTP authentication. The HTTPS authentication is grayed out because you need to enable it here in the SSL settings, and you have also to provide a certificate and a policy for then terminating the SSL traffic, have it in clear text, inserting here the redirect or the JavaScript challenge, and then sending re-encrypt again and sending out to the client. But if you select here this HTTP authentication, then these get here dark, and you can select here redirect or JavaScript. Again, I personally would prefer the JavaScript, and only in cases where you're 100% sure that the server support no JavaScript, then you need to use the redirect. But I guess in most of the cases, JavaScript is today available and working. So then about here this carpet bombing. So with the carpet bombing, we need to change the tracking method from tracking per destination to spoofed SYN attack protection aggregated tracking for all destinations IP of the address in policy. So this means if we have here then the classification that we have discussed yesterday. So the classification defines also here these destination IP addresses. And for all destination addresses, we create here an aggregated tracking. This means all SYN requests of all IP addresses together have higher values, and then you come easy over the thresholds. And then if you are over the thresholds, we start the activation, and we also can doing here the challenges. Good. We have here a summary for the SYN flood, transparent proxy, safe reset. For connection floods here also we recommend that you set up here also the TCP reset. And again, connection floods is here only for HTTP, HTTPS, and real-time streaming protocols possible. Of course, for web protection here, you should also enable here the web authentication. This is highly recommended. So then, in case of symmetric, you can use here the transparent proxy, the safe reset, the TCP reset. So all three options are possible. In case of asymmetric, safe reset or TCP reset, because TCP proxy not, because we do not see the acknowledge from the application server. And mesh can't be supported. Then also here the transparent proxy is used here the delayed binding, which of course causes a little bit an additional delay. But the delay is not too much, but you increase the security significantly. So therefore, if possible, also think about to use transparent proxy. Yeah, that's SYN protection. Do you have here any questions?
No.
Okay, and then let's continue. And the next one is here then the out of state. And out of state is also a nice additional protection, which should be mostly also used in conjunction of TCP applications. So, and you have here also this three-way handshake. So everything is fine. But what happens if you have here a request which is not a SYN packet? Then something is wrong. And in this case here, we have to reject it. And exactly this is doing here this out of state. So if you have here non-SYN requests, then we need, of course, to see here a couple of them. So we need to be also above here some threshold. And if we here above this threshold, then we simply drop the packets. So therefore we allow an amount of non-SYN packages because it can happen from time to time. And if you have not here too much, the server should be able to handle. Excuse me, we need to mute you. So, so then here you need to spoof here. You need to block here. So you see also here, it's the same method like before. We go here, if you are above the activation, we start here, then dropping. And if you are below the termination, we forward this non-SYN messages. So we have here also a special option here. And the special option is not only on and off. No, you can also have it here graceful. And if you select the graceful, we have also here a startup timer. So this means, for example, 1,800 seconds, which is half an hour. We don't care. So if you want enable this graceful during the operation, if you have already established a session, and if this session is not longer than half an hour, so this session can be finished without any issue. If this session lasts longer than half an hour, maybe here some SSH sessions, you log in the morning and you log out normally at the end of the day, then this session will be killed, or also maybe large FTP sessions. Otherwise, I would say enable typically features during a maintenance window, enable features during the beginning of the setup. So you will have never any issue. And also here you can use the graceful. It's not too bad, but then you will never lose here any sessions.
Yeah,
then,
yeah. Can we add an exception for graceful option? For example, we have some computer or people who doesn't need drop the session, but we need a graceful period.
No.
Okay.
The feature is very simple in this case. So you can have in here no option. You have here only here this activation.
For this person, we need do it the some profile.
Yes, you need maybe to create maybe a different profile.
Okay.
And then you can have, for example, let's say maybe here the profile general, having here the priority maybe 50, and having here then source is here any, and destination is here protected. So this is and then you have maybe here also out of state active. So this is one. And then you have here profile special. You have maybe the priority 55. So therefore it's here more important. And you have maybe here then source, maybe here 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, this is only well working if you have really fixed IP addresses, and destination is also maybe here protected. And here in this case, maybe out of state is disabled. So this means it's not used. Okay?
Okay.
That you can do. So you have also then here this activation termination thresholds, and also here grace period after policy, update policies or idle state. Here in case of update policies, you have always short interruptions in the system. So if you press the update policies button, existing policies will be removed from the system and the new policies will be installed. So this is here a short interruption about the security for maximum a second, mostly less, but it can happen that during this time also here the SYN request arrives, and so we miss the SYN, and we see then after the policy is active only hearing the acknowledge. So in this case, of course, this would be against here this out-of-state protection, and it would be killed. So therefore, we keep it here, this session for 30 seconds. And most sessions, if you look here about here HTTP sessions or mail sessions or so, are mostly short sessions. You have it for a couple of seconds, and then all the information is transmitted, and then we normally close that session. So of course, if you say, I have here long laster sessions, then you can of course increase this time also. So to the suitable time you need for your application. So you can also, of course, doing the same here with a command line. This could be here useful if you extract that configuration from one of the systems. Look here for these lines and put it then later into a script to be able also update maybe some other devices. Otherwise, I would not say here you should set it up in command line. Command line is not really often used for setting up devices. Yeah, then we have also here the reports. The reports are here reported as anomalies. And well, that's here the table. And by the way, here in the monitoring here, I'm not sure we have, no, unfortunately here the monitoring, we have not here a picture. So, but for the monitoring, you have here also these different sections here. So in the monitoring here, the info, low, medium, and high sections where you can also then set up where it should be appear. Then if you want also to drill down, then you get also here the additional information. Yeah, then also here in the analytics here, you have the same information. So I think it's not here really too much difference. And also here getting then in the user guide also additional information, but it's a very small feature. The only thing I want to emphasize here, in general, you can do also many protections using BDOS. But BDOS do not detect ACK floods. So because the ACK flood, the ACK is used for the SYN acknowledge and the data. So therefore, we will see a lot of ACK, and BDOS do not detect ACK floods. So therefore, if you want to have here ACK floods detected, use here always out of state. Sorry, not the 8, out of state. So. Therefore, if you want to do the exam for the level 1 training, remember this statement. This could be very helpful. Good. Do you have here any additional questions? No? Then let's go to the last topic. And the last topic is here the traffic filter. And the traffic filter itself, I think it's also a very useful and universal protection, like the BDOS. So the BDOS is the first universal using behavioral mechanics. And the traffic filter is the second, or is another universal protection using here thresholds. So therefore you have both options, behavioral and threshold. And by the way, both has its advantages and disadvantages. So I will also make a small drawing. So if you have here the bandwidth and you have here the time. So if you have here one attack, going here a little bit more slow. So which kind of protection do you think can help you here more? Behavioral based or threshold based? So here, this is if you're slowly increasing behavioral. Is better. And if you have here the attack like this one, then here often threshold. This means threshold and challenge based. So here you see if you have, for example, let's say maybe here 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds. So you see for the behavioral here, we need at minimum 10 seconds. And here, if you are within the first second here, and this is here then the activation. If you're here above the activation, then we trigger and can still start with the mitigation. So you see, therefore threshold is much faster. Of course, it's not that accurate because we send out the challenges and drop it. Here with the behavior, we create also the real-time signature. So this is much more accurate, but it takes more time. And so therefore, as well behavioral, as well then challenge-based have its advantage. And at the end, you never know how your next attack looks like. So therefore, I and also Radware recommends to have here both options available depending on the attack, a little bit lower and slower or so on, takes more time, or very heavy. So then we can use challenge-based and behavioral-based. Okay? So, and the traffic filter here is again something in the threshold and challenge-based. So having here also a very granular control, flexibility to meet unique needs, predictable operations under attack, and fast response and definitive attack blocking. So we have here user-defined flexible filters, and this is also on the one side an advantage, on the other side the disadvantage, because you need to exactly know what you need to protect. So you need to know how the application is working, and then depending of this knowledge, you need here to set here these granular rules on the policy level. It can be simple, can be also complex. So therefore, granular rules, yes, under all cases, simple, maybe. And we can also support matching versus non-matching. So you can have here also define a positive or a negative logic. So what is more efficient for the protection? We can have also traffic shaping and capping. So depending if you do set up the parameters. And also here the larger devices has also here a higher performance. Of course, the performance is not as good as for SYN protection because this feature, of course, here is also much more complex. It's not a simple SYN protector. So about here the traffic filters itself, you define here a couple of filters, and those filters you associate to the profile. So you have here for each profile a maximum of 15 traffic filters. And depending on the kind of devices, here the larger devices, so Defense Pro 60 to 400, can have here up to 200 filters. And the Defense Pro VA to 20 will have a maximum of 50 profiles. But this is in general, so this is not only here for the traffic filters, it's also for BDOS, SYN protection, and so on. So you can have here for the smaller devices only a maximum of 50 profiles, for the larger devices up to 200 profiles. Then about the filtering here, you see you can having here layer 3 information source and destinations, packet size, then layer 4 protocol flags, can also here rate limiting, and until here VLANs, TCP sequence number, and until regular expressions. So if you have a Defense Pro in the range VA to 60, so you have not to take care, all these parameters are handled by the CPU. If you have a Defense Pro 110 and above, then you have to distinguish because these blue ones here are handled in the DME, and the red ones are handled in the CPU. So therefore, you have to distinguish a little bit. But before we go to this, here, let's see the general behavior. You have here a profile, maybe here called traffic filter 2. And since we have here one line active, here one line defined, here we have here one filter. So therefore, an empty profile starts with 0 and counts up to a maximum of 15, because you remember we can have maximum 15 filters per profile. So if you start here with the 0, you have to press here the plus. You can define here the first one. If you press the plus again, you can define the secondary one. If you press the plus, you can have the third one. Honestly, of course, the filters have no numbers. It has here only the top order and then below, 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 below. So the top order would be here the first executed, the others would be executed afterwards. Then if you have here more than one, then these buttons get be also active. And if you have marked one of the filters, then you can move it up and can move it down, or can, instead of enable, also disable it. So about the behavior, if you have here a couple of filters established, then first we go into the top filter. So the top filter here is the filter number 1. We check if these packets are matching. If no match, then we go directly to filter number 2. If we match, then we're looking also here for the thresholds. So then you see we need not only to have the parameters matched. Now also we need to be above the threshold. And if we are above the threshold, we perform the action. In case of no, we go to the second filter. So therefore you see if you have a match and threshold, we're doing the action, then no further filters are here executed. If we have no matching, if you have below the thresholds, we go to the next one. If we have, until we have checked the last one, and if the last one is not matching, then we cannot detect here an attack according here this filter profile rules. So in this case, we're going maybe to the next protection. So in case, if you have here these larger devices, one moment, I need to drink a little bit, one moment. Okay, so you see, and then we have here, then the traffic over 50 megabits here, destination port, destination IP. These are all blue parameters, so therefore can process in the DME. And if you have then here some regular expressions, this can be processed in the CPU. If you change the order, if you put maybe here the regular expressions in the first filter, then even if you have a DOS mitigation unit, everything is processed in the CPU. So therefore, for the larger devices, take care about the order. And you see here against this picture, we had also the same yesterday. So for VA and 6, we have not to take care because the traffic filters are done all in the CPU. Also for difference for 20 and 60, everything is done here in the CPU. You have not to take care. Only for the 110 and above, here the traffic filters basic are in DME and the traffic filters advanced in the core engines. So please then take care about the order you use here in the traffic filters profile. Do you have here any questions? No. Good. Then continue. So then you see also here, we have here maybe here 2 traffic filters. And by the way, we should have here a more descriptive name. So traffic filter 1, traffic filter 2 is maybe okay for the training, but in real life here, please a little bit more verbose. And you see also the traffic filter 1 here is already full equipped. So therefore you cannot add here any additional filter. So therefore the plus button will be grayed out. Here on the traffic filter 2, we have only one filter. So therefore, of course, you can add some additional definitions. So if you have here some parameters here defined, then we will see only here an action for this profile if blocking is as well in the policy as in the profile enabled. So then you have a real blocking. If reporting is in the policy or in the profile, then in general here, this filter will be a report-only filter. So therefore, if one of the actions in policy or profile are reporting, it's only reporting. So reporting takes precedence according blocking. Then you can also create here a new traffic filter. So you have here enabling it, put in here the name. In our example, it was TF1 or TF2. So here I would prefer traffic filter 4 or HTTP traffic filter or something, or only HTTP applications, because that is a traffic filter you see automatically. And then here positive or negative logic. So all parameters are matching or not matching. And you see also here, we have here the basic criteria. These are here, what are here executed in the DOS mitigation engine of the larger devices. And the advanced one are executed in the processor for the larger devices. for the smaller devices here, all parameters are in the DME, in the core processor executed. And also here, source network ports, destination network ports, protocol, packet size here, flags you can also detect. So you see, you can also here doing here some SYN protection. But again, the SYN module is of course here more powerful, but you could also here doing here any combinations, also maybe here with VLANs. Then the quality of service you can handle, and also here regular expressions. Then you have also then here, here the page is too small. Here you see package per second here. Then we continue here. You can having here packet per second or in kilobits per second, and putting in here then the parameters. And also the tracking is very interesting. So you can track maybe everything, means request and responses, or only per source, per destination, per source and destination pair. And also here returning traffic from destination. Here you can also detect if you get maybe here some error messages during authentication. Can detect here also some brute force attacks, or can also detect maybe here server errors. If you get maybe here an error message in the range of 400 and 500, you could also maybe then block it and don't send it here to the client, not confusing the client, and in case of an attacker, do not tell them too much of what happens in the server. So you see also then here in the reporting, you have also here then the traffic filters. And if you drill down, getting also here more details about, yeah. And for the traffic filter protection, you can here also define here the maximum range. Here we're configuring a traffic filter for all traffic towards a specific network protection policy with maximum rate of the protected network and servers. The traffic filter can help to limit the maximum rate for traffic towards the Defense Pro protected network and at any given time. And you can also whitelisting when under attack, configuring a traffic filter for traffic that Defense Pro inspects towards the protected network and block all other traffic that might match the network protection policy. It enables the inspecting only expected legitimate traffic and blocking the rest of the traffic reaching the policy. And of course, you can doing normally here blocking traffic when under attack. You configure a traffic filter for blocking, rate limiting specific traffic, all traffic towards the network protection policy. Yeah, this is here all a little bit difficult. So therefore we thought we have here a couple of use cases and explain it with the use cases, which is here a little bit more simple. So we have here an HTTP server. And for this HTTP server, we get here then some flooding by maybe here a botnet. And we have here also here HTTP requests. So this means then we are having here not any spoofed source IP addresses. So the session is established and the client sends here a huge amount of, let's say, maybe GET requests. So we can say here, normally we're expecting here maybe on this server, maybe here traffic for 400, 500 packets per second. So therefore we put maybe here a threshold about 800 packets per second. So it's significant higher. And if you get more HTTP requests than this 800 packets per second, then we can block here this specific source or maybe source and destination combination. So similar like on the HTTP server, we can doing the same here also for a SIP server. So, and if I have here then some SIP request, we have maybe here some, SIP request here. What? Oh, no. Oh, it's here, it's ICMP, ICMP floods here on this SIP server. Sorry, I'm a little bit confused by myself. So, and then if you have here also too much pings, and as you remember, you have normally not too much. So for example, here, if you see more than 20 pings per second, then you say, this is very unusual. And so then we can block here this source. So you see, depending here on these situations here, you can then also create here the protection. We will see also here more details, and I will also give here more options for these traffic filters in the advanced, in the level 2 training. Because here it's only here some ideas and yeah, to help you. Yeah. Yeah, you have any question?
Can I ask a question, a specific use case?
Which use case?
A specific use case from a prospect, actually. We're about to perform a POC with a prospect. These guys are a large e-commerce company, just like eBay. They're performing some regular load tests from time to time to see how they are scaling for Black Friday, for example. When they scale up, when they need to scale up, they test it before the event. So they are having lots of tests. And as far as I understand from these traffic filters, we can differentiate the traffic with some regular expressions looking into packet payload. So we can create a rule saying that if the user agent is this, then do that, right?
For example, yes, we can maybe here, if we go back here, maybe you can have here, of course, complex things. So here, for example, the regular expressions. Yes, of course, you are right. Maybe here you can also here see detect here this user agent. And if you have maybe here the user agent, then maybe in this test tool, maybe test tool, and this case here you can and then bring here maybe a much higher threshold, and you have maybe here for standards, and then you have maybe here for user agent the standard, and then you have maybe here a threshold of only 2000, let's say, and for the test tool you have maybe 20,000. So you can have in here different thresholds. And if you put then here this test tool in higher priority than the standard, so therefore if we first detect the test tool, and if the test tool is not matching, then the standard, or you can skip it also, that you say here, I don't care about the others, only in case of the test tool, I here allow at minimum 20,000, and only if I have more or maybe 200,000. So that is really a high amount. So therefore, this will never trigger in case if the user agent is detected. Yes, this you can do.
Okay, if the user agent is test tool, I can say that block this or any other traffic block than this one. But what about for a low listing so that they don't want this test tool to be blocked for any reason? They want this test tool to be bypassed looking into a user agent string. Actually, we can do that with IP allow listing. It is very easy.
Yeah,
but
and then of course the easiest would be also an allow list. If you say I have maybe here also not only a single test tool, I have maybe here also some kind of server farms that say a specific C-class network are using for tests, and then you could also simple put these C-class on the allow list, then you anyway bypass anything, because this you use only for a short time, and of course very controlled. I can imagine in this case also the allow list could be a useful technique.
But if we can't do allow listing C class, can I use this traffic filter like a no-touch filter? The case is
now the allow of course the allow list you can do a C class. For example, here I can show you.
Actually, allow listing is easy, but there are some times we cannot give specific IP ranges or classes. Maybe the IP addresses are distributed just like a botnet, or
Yes.
maybe they are using Azure and Google Cloud and some other cloud at the same time. So because of these guys are afraid of IP spoofing, they don't want to allow list a C class or B class. So user agent allow listing, if applicable, will be a lot useful for them. And this is the only place I can think of, but I'm not sure because it is a little bit different usage. I'm asking.
You could also maybe use signatures. So similar like the traffic filter. So you could also then use the signature. We will discuss then tomorrow. And also if you have here a specific signature, and in the specific signature, you can similar like here, use any kind of parameters. And if you have a match on this parameter, you simply put the threshold very high. So this means that the threshold is then above the traffic the tool or the network can generate. So therefore, it will be never blocked. This would be also possible. So therefore, you can have the allow list, you can have the traffic filter, you can have signatures. That's I think that yeah. More ideas I have not about than if in this case to bypass this traffic according some parameters.
So if I use for the traffic filters, just like you type on the screen, user agent test tool, and let's say 1 billion packets per second, then will this rule, because it is being matched, this rule will suppress the other rules, right?
Yeah.
So that these bots will be bypassed on the Radware and they can hit the servers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it will be better for me to test this in a lab environment, and I'm very curious how will it how will Radware respond. Okay.
Okay, good.
Maybe we can look for signatures for tomorrow because the subject
it's also an option here you can also think about.
Okay. Sorry and thank you all. I stole your 10 minutes maybe.
No problem. No problem. It's maybe also interesting for the others. But that's if you have some questions here, please, this is your chance. Ask. And of course, this is also a question which fits very well to the topic, I think.
Thanks.
Okay, good. Then we are here finished for today. That we had already discussed. So, and then, yes, so then here it's now time for lunch. And after lunch, also about here the lab work. And here you should finished here until lab number 8 today. So then these are here the traffic filters. Of course, it's always up to you. You have to judge because I honestly do not exactly know how old you are, but you are all adults. So therefore, you have to decide by yourself which kind of lab is important to you, if you want to do it, if you don't want to do it. And so you cannot do it, of course, today. You can do it as well tomorrow. And you have also, if you like, the lab available on Friday. Oh, yes, I need to double check about the weekend that I will do immediate now. And Dennis, then I will come back to you as well. If anybody of you also would be interested to have the lab also on the weekend, then please drop me also an email. I can then check how much availabilities we have. But please only request the lab in case you are really interested to work on the weekend, because my personal experience is only very few people are really interested to do some hands-on and lab tests on the weekends. But if you like, I will double check for you. Okay? Good. Yeah, thank you.
And one additional question, because we are on break. For the this is additional to previous question. Can I use user agents for encrypted traffic? For example, let's say the traffic is HTTPS and I put the certificate pair in the Radware so that Radware can...
Yes, we have here an option I can show you from the level 2. So one moment here, and then I hope it's here in one moment. Maybe we need to stop here first. So and this can show you also. I'm looking only here for some specific page. Because we had an overview which features are supported, which features are not. Yeah, yes. So you see, if you have here this full SSL protection, you can use in conjunction with HTTPS traffic filters, signature protection, and of course, geolocation EIF. It's anyway IP based. So therefore, you see traffic filters and signature protection is also possible.
But this brings high load to the device because...
Yes, of course. You need always first to decrypt it. And so you need to have definitely a device with an integrated SSL card. And some devices, or most of the devices, offer also 2 different cards, a standard card and a high performance card. And in this case, maybe you need to select the high performance SSL card.
I remember full decryption is not the best option from previous conversations with your colleagues. And, well, this is not an SSL visibility project, so maybe I should look for another option. Whitelisting C class is a lot easier.
Yeah, ELAT is also very knowledgeable, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay, welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
When we get access to our recordings?
After the training. So this means on tomorrow, after I close the Zoom session, so this will again, so I would say in the afternoon, we can of course close it a little bit earlier if you like. And then the Zoom is preparing the sessions, and then I can send it out. So for example, we can then tomorrow, if you like, also close the Zoom session earlier, and I can then send out the links for the recordings tomorrow in the afternoon, if this is okay for all.
Okay, and the second question is, after completing all the labs, should we demonstrate you what we do?
No, that's up to you. So you are grown up. You have to judge by yourself if you want to do more, if you want to do less. This depends also a little bit about your job. some of you are more designers of networks and so, or pre-sales engineers who says, maybe I need not to have too much practical. So for me, it's less. Other of you are here people who do the installation, so they should do more. No, the practical demonstration would be only later if you are interested to do the certification. And in the certification, then you need to demonstrate your skills in the practical hands-on. Not for the training. For the training, it's only to attend is everything.
Okay, thank you. So for get certificate, we should complete technical tasks like in labs or
yes. So here for the certification, as you remember, we had here one moment. So one moment, I need to go to that page. So you remember this page. So we have first here the hands-on exam. So this is the first step you need to do. You use the lab here again. If you do it here within this week, then you need only to set your Defense Pro here to factory defaults or kill the policies to tidy it up a little bit. And then you get here the exam task, and you need to implement here the exam task in the Defense Pro. So therefore it's a protections against SYN protections, floodings, signatures, and so on. So almost all the features we have already discussed. Then I will check it, and I need to find here then a minimum of 75% that you have finished this task. So if I found 75% or more, then you will get here in your LMS account, and then the entries for the second exam. So then you will find here in your Radware LMS account here this entry. Once if you click on that entry, then also here this 2-hour exam started. You have to answer around 60 questions. And these 60 questions must be also correct answered by, again, 75%. And then if you have done it, then you are certified. So therefore, you need to do both parts. And the hands-on part here, again, you can do maybe this week if you like, but especially then the knowledge is fresh. You already have done the hands-on. And honestly, between the hands-on in the lab and the exam task, it's not so different. Otherwise, if you say, no, I would like to wait a little bit, maybe I want to prepare myself better, or there is a lot of work I have to do this week. So then you can ask also the next weeks, and the next week here, drop an email here to Radware Virtual Lab at radware.com and provide 3 different dates in different weeks. And then we will find the first match. And then you say, yes, okay, here on Tuesday, the October 24th, I don't know if this is Tuesday, then yes, you can do the exam, for example. You have for this exam, then a time about 3 months you can finish. So you need to ask here for this lab within the next three months. So we have now end of September, so October, November, December. So this means here, end of this year, you have to do this hand-on exam. Otherwise, you need to attend a new training or to do some payment, because we will do here some changes, and after 3 months mostly, then we have here different tasks. So that's the reason why here it's only 3 months valid. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So any additional questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I sent you an email yesterday about the third day of the training because I'm going to miss it tomorrow, and I
Yes.
want to complete that next week. But I need the materials and the labs.
I can send you the recording that you can get about the lab. I need to see about availability. Okay, or yes, but this, I recognize that you will be not there tomorrow. Yes, this is okay, but then the labs I need to check. Yes, I will also check for you if I can enlarge the lab for you. Okay.
Yeah, also I need to schedule the exam maybe later and not tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to send a mail to the hardware.
Yes, please send a
email.
mail here to Radwe Virtual Lab to schedule it then, because next week I'm not available. So therefore, for next week, I can of course enlarge the lab access and so, but definitely I cannot proctor any exam for you next week.
Okay, no problem.
Maybe the week
Thanks.
afterwards or so it's possible again, but not next week.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
When I do the hands-on lab yesterday, I saw the target machine and the attack machine very cool. I see some software in the desktop. So how can we get those applications or tools for our study or practice or POC test to in the project? So for
This is a standard
attack, yeah, the
Yeah.
tools in the attacks PC. How can we get these tools?
It's very simple. We're using here the Kali Linux server. So you need to download the Kali server, and this
I
Kali
already have a Kali, but for the attack tools, Redwell developed the tools for this
yeah, the Raptor is Radware
attack.
specific. The Raptor is Radware specific, and we cannot give out. So that's created by Radware, and it's only for Radware internal purposes. But you can use the standard Kali.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if all questions are answered, then enjoy your lunch break. And I will be available then about, I will have also lunch break for 45 minutes. And then I am available. So if you have questions, then we'll do it like yesterday. Simple ask. And then I will unmute myself, put on the headset, and then get back to you and answer your questions. Okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if you have no question,
Bon appetit, Günther.
thank you, thank you. And then if you have no issues, no questions, nothing, then seeing you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central European Time again. Okay, thank you and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.